It's 9 o'clock, so it is time for the Fall Comedy Brawl, apparently. Tonight, you're going to get to see a bunch of comedians kick each other's fucking asses right up here. We're all just going to beat the hell out of each other. I hope you're ready for that. You brought your tarps, right? It's going to get bloody. Just kidding. It's not going to get bloody. My name is Nathan. I'm going to be your host tonight. And I've been here for a little while, so I've seen everybody pouring in, and I've got to say, I haven't seen so many innocent-looking faces in one place. This is going to be really, really good. You're going to hear some raunchy shit. Hopefully some raunchy shit. If you don't hear from the other comedians, you're going to hear from me. And I'm hoping that kind of pops your cherry as far as like things go a little bit. I have to look at some notes because I'm not a comedian. I'm a host. I mean, look at the way I'm dressed. All right, so a lot of what you're going to hear tonight, from me anyway, is going to sound very condescending, rude, very nasty, vulgar, and honestly pretty fucking stupid. And it's going to sound that way because I'm very condescending and rude and vulgar and pretty fucking stupid. So I hope that that doesn't deter you guys from having a good night. I really want you all to have fun. Almost all of you. I want all but one of you. You know who you are, you fucking son of a bitch. You piece of shit. Speaking of piece of shit, speaking of exactly that piece of shit who I hope your night sucks ass and that your night gets crabs. We have our first comedian. His name is Jesse WhiteDeer. Warm round of applause for Jesse.
Hello, Ada. I got my set list here, so I'm flipping it over. So, like Nate said, my name is Jesse WhiteDeer. Thanks for being here. All right. I didn't mean for you guys to clap, but that's cool too. So, right. So those of you that drove in, I just have a question. The Ada PD hasn't framed any of you guys for murder yet, right? No? Okay. Some of you guys didn't get that joke. That's cool. Just go home, watch The Innocent Man, and do some homework, and you'll get it. Speaking of people and cops and such, bigots are really weird. Because I'm such a logical person that I don't understand how that would work. Let's say, for example, a gentleman hates gay people, which, there's a lot of things wrong with that. But, he's just going about his day, milling about, doing his normal whatever stuff. And then just out of nowhere, he sees gay people. And it triggers him where he's like, I fucking hate gay people! And then he has to go about it the rest of his day, knowing that he screamed that into the universe. I think that if I was a bigot or I hated people, like I said, I am logical. So I would do it in a way where if I see a transgender couple, I would say, man, those trans are really bringing down the property value around here. Man, those people are choosing who they want to be. That really pisses me off. Anyways, right? Speaking of assholes and weirdos, T.I. was in the news recently, the rapper T.I. You guys know T.I., right? He has that song, What You Like, where he's like, you can have whatever you like, except for everyone can have what they like according to T.I., except for his daughter. She can have personal privacy. That's really weird, right? It's very weird for a grown man to accompany his daughter to a gynecologist. I'm just saying. Like I'm 29, and I know I look it. I'm 29, and I'd be really weirded out if my mom went with me to these exams. Well, actually, that wouldn't happen. I haven't had sex in a few years, so. But back in my prime, which was like 10 years ago, back in my prime, it'd be really weird if she followed me to the, office and stuff and was like, Jesse, your dick is a lot bigger than you think it is. Like, don't be down on yourself. Just, go out there, tell the doctor what's up. And then, later on, just show this girl that you coaxed into having sex with you, just show her what you're about. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't feel good about that. Sorry. That was kind of fucked up, right? Yeah. But, yeah, I'm really sorry about all that, guys. But hey, in my defense, I thought it was a tight joke, right? See, you got it? All right, yeah. So another dude that's a complete asshole, that used to not be an asshole, is Kanye West. Oh, some groans, I know. What's really strange about this gentleman is, he had some good success coming in, and then he was a Trump supporter, which that's not even the worst thing about him. The worst thing about him is now that he's this Joel Osteen type of preacher guy, and boo, yeah, right. Fuck that dude. Side note, this has everything to do with this story. My white grandmother, used to just send basically pocket change to Benny Hinn. Some of you guys know Benny Hinn? He didn't hit her with his jacket at least once, which I think is kind of fucked up. But, whatever. But back to Kanye West. Some of you don't know this, but he owns a lot of property in Wyoming. And my thought is, how much longer is it going to be until he just goes full on Jim Jones with that shit? Before he's making people drink cyanide Kool-Aid and wearing Nikes and things like that. Well, actually, he'd probably make them wear Yeezus, which would be the biggest sale of Yeezys since they came out. All right? Somebody didn't like that? That's cool. Like I said, I do a lot of shows around town. I book bands, things like that, And one of the shows I'm really proud of is a benefit show that I did for Philip Wood. Some of you guys can clap for him. That's cool. Yeah, there you go. He's passed away, but, that's cool. But, he was the DARE officer, which, kind of going in more of my set, you'll discover that I didn't listen to a goddamn word what DARE said. So, but we did this benefit show for him, and I was really proud of it and stuff, and I put everything together. And I celebrated the night by getting just absolutely hammered drunk. I just got completely blitzed. And I had the bright idea to snatch the mic towards the end of the night and just berate people about how great he was. He was still alive at this point. But so I got up there and I was like, hey man, Philip Wood's a fucking great guy, okay? He's fucking great. He did all this shit for you guys, and you guys are just assholes, and you don't like him, and and he's fucking awesome. And the bad part about that was his entire family was there. So I'm just yelling at them about how cool he is, and yeah, so they didn't like that too much. But whatever. But yeah, so like I said, I didn't listen to anything Philip Wood said about DARE, and I used to have a pretty bad drinking problem. I would get so drunk and so just an asshole that I would do things like project my insecurities on people, call people up, accuse them of lying to me, which I don't know about what. It's me calling my mom and saying hey, you fucking lied to me. And she says, well, about what, son? And, I would say, I don't fucking know. And then I would hang up. But yeah, a lot of that. And I used to work at the Home Depot, which fuck that place. So, but I got fired from Home Depot because, yeah, right. I would show up late. I would just kind of like smoke, get real high during lunch breaks, and just like come to work, kind of like fuck around and just kind of be a bad employee. Yeah, right. So I got a bunch of notices from my boss who was like, "Hey man, you're living this self-destructive lifestyle. Maybe you should slow down." And I was like, "Hey, Brad, I forgot your name, but maybe you should eat a bag of dicks." He didn't know, unfortunately. But so I got my final warning, and then I decided what would be a great idea is me just getting absolutely hammered the night before, where I lined up all these shots of vodka and several other drinks, and I thought, I'm going to reenact that scene from Super Troopers where I take all these shots and then I just like karate kick in the air, which it's safe to say that I may have got fired from Home Depot for my alcohol abuse, but I totally nailed that jump kick. So, But yeah, so I showed up work the next day, completely hungover, actually still drunk, and passed out in the bathroom. And I woke up to a manager coming in, standing above me, which if you pass out in the bathroom, the last thing you want is a gangly white dude standing above you when you wake up. So, that was fun. I have a lot of friends that drink and stuff, and I have a lot of, and I don't. But sometimes it makes for good stories. One of my buddies had a show at his bar, and he got, he and the rest of my other friends, they all got real drunk, and they said, "Hey, we should celebrate by having a party at your house." And I was like, no, probably not, man. Like that, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna sleep. I gotta work in the morning. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to, do the adult thing. And so I go home and I'm asleep, and then I just hear what can only be described as like realistic chanting of people just that type of thing, like I thought I was getting haunted by like Native American ghosts at one point, but it wasn't. No, and so I wake up and there's just a whole fleet of people at my house, and I ignored it because I was like, well, if this is the way I gotta go, this is the way I gotta go. Sometimes it'd be like that. And but they they woke me up and stuff, and I was like, hey guys, you can destroy my house, that's fine, but I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm trying to go to work the next morning. So one of my buddies, he thought that would be a good idea or good chance to barricade me in my room, where he stacked a bunch of furniture, chairs, all this bullshit, where in the morning I got out and I was just like trapped in there where I just had to squeeze out. And the whole time, of course I was mad, but the whole rest of the time I was thinking like, how boss would that have been if I would have died in a house fire? And he, as a white guy, got charged with a hate crime. That totally would have been cool. So yeah, right? But no, and I have another friend who, we were partying back in the day, back in my prime, and he decided to roll up. So the car pulls up, and it doesn't really stop. Almost as the door opens, and he just kind of like rolls out. So he gets up and he's like, hey, let's party, and we're like, yeah, man, let's fucking do that. So he continues to drink a little bit more, and then like he's outside in my yard just like eating grass and like throwing it on top of himself for warmth. And another friend of mine said, hey man, you're like Bear Grylls. And he said he looked everyone dead in the eye simultaneously and said, Bear Grylls is a fucking pussy. And my other buddy said, hey man, Bear Grylls would drink his own pee. And he said, hey man, give me a fucking cup. right? How badass is that? That's like big dick energy. Like, I've never been confident any man has a big dick other than that dude. So, but no, so we give him a Dixie cup, because we're not rude. He fills it up, and then he just downs the whole thing and just stares us in the face. And then that's it. We're just like, oh, he's king of spring break forever. Like, that's it, of all time. Fuck everybody else. No, and then, but yeah, one guy that, she was just thinking, guy, it's all right. One guy that I pretty much doubt I would want to be friends with is Jesus. Not for any religious reason or anything. Like, he seems like he's doing a good job and stuff. But, I don't drink or anything. And if I go and hang out with him, all he's going to have is wine and bread and fish to eat and drink. And none of that sounds appealing. And, I'm going to say, hey, man, like, I don't even drink. And he's going to look me in the eye and say, hey, man, don't be a fucking nerd. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I got to drink, though. So, yeah. I grew up Mormon, which, that's a weird thing in itself. Yeah, boo. Fuck those guys. Really fuck those guys. They, the weird thing about Mormons is that they didn't decide that black people could get into super duper heaven till about 1974. And oddly enough, God told them that. So God was like, hey, man, these black people are pretty cool. Maybe you should let them into your super duper heaven. And the president at the time was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we should, God. That'd be really cool. And then, so I'm just waiting until God says it's cool for gay people to get in there. Because I think they'd probably make heaven fun. A lot of disco parties, a lot of glow sticks, a lot of, dancing and such. I'm not familiar with the gay culture, but, whatever they do. But more power to them. Let's see. What else do we got here? Don't worry. It's closing down. So I've worked retail a lot and stuff. And some of the weird stuff about retail is that you get a lot of weirdos. And you get a lot of people who want to come in and talk to you and be your friend, but you just really want them to get the hell out. Where you'll have people come up and they'll say, like I've been a waiter before, and they'll come into my table and they'll say, hey, can we get in and out in about 30 minutes? I'm like, fuck, buddy, you can leave right now. Don't let me hold you up. I work retail now, and I work in like a copy and print center. Try to guess where that's at. But I had a guy comes in pretty regularly, and he's always convinced that an Eastern European government is trying to kill him. But the weird thing about that is that he's been doing that for about 2 years now. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what a shitty hitman. They're just, like, laying around waiting for 2 years to kill this guy. And, like, they're not getting up to the deal. So it's either that's a really shitty hitman, or he's just playing a hardball. Like, he's being really hard to get. And when this guy told me all this, and he was like, hey, man, this Eastern European government's trying to kill me. I was like, hey, man, they're not doing a very good job. You're still alive. Yeah. So speaking of jobs, I used to have a really good job. I used to have a really good job that I was really proud of. And when I got this job, in my mind, I was like, all right, this is it. This is the cornerstone that I'm going to build my future on. Like, I know that's a lot of stake into a job, but you guys didn't have this job that I had. So, and with that job, I was able to, get a nice car. I was able to take my mom out. I was able to do all these good things. And I remember sitting in my car one time thinking like this is it. This is the pinnacle of happiness. And boy, was I wrong. I worked for this place. Can't say the name because I want to get sued. Plus, I don't know if they pay for advertisements. So, but so where this building is it's a rehab center, and like probably a mile down the road is the place where we refill this food tray, because we would bring food trays in and out that would have these hot meals for all these addicts and stuff like that. You know, they were used to sucking dick for meth. Now they're getting steak and shrimp and stuff, which I felt's a good transition. I know you like that, Jeremy. I see you smiling over there. But I was tasked with the first time I was tasked to go get the food was also the first time that I had coffee. And like I said, you know, I grew up Mormon, so we never had coffee or tea or fun or anything. And which I think is a weird thing, because Warren Jeffs can like basically have a sex cult and do all that weird shit, but like I can't have coffee. Like God frowns upon that. So, so I get there, you know, I'm jazzed up and stuff, and I'm like, all right, this is like I get to be responsible. I get to show these guys, you know, that I'm about it and like I deserve this job and stuff. And I thought, you know, like I'm gonna kick it up a notch. And I'm going to, you know, drink some coffee, and I'm going to try to feel good about myself, and which doesn't happen a lot. But so I remember I drank this 12-ounce cup of coffee, and I downed it. And I was like, ugh, it's not kicking in. Maybe it's not working. Maybe I should drink another cup. So take another cup, slam it back. And this old Indian man, who I feel like everyone has that in their life where they kind of give you this old Indian man wisdom. Oh, it gets worse. So he was like, hey, man, maybe you should slow down on that coffee. Like, it's not good for your stomach. And I was like, hey, Kent, fuck you, man. And he didn't like that too much. But so I'm getting jazzed up, and I get the car, and I'm driving to the place. And I can kind of feel my stomach like tighten up a little bit. And I'm like, well, it's got to let out some gas, whatever, no problem. So I go do that, and then, you know, I'm driving, you know, listening to Backstreet Boys, as you do. And, you know, as I'm getting closer to the place where I got to do the food, it gets more and more urgent, like it's more and more tightening, where I'm like, all right, you know, maybe I got to kind of start game planning or whatever. So I pull up to this place that, you know, can't be named. But I pull up to this place, and I get out, and I kind of feel it in my stomach where I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go do this deed, go back to the place, do the other deed, glide out of there. Everything is going to be cool. So I have a game plan. So, you know, and mind you, I'm like dressed up. I'm like in this custom tailor-made suit with custom pants, custom jacket. You know, I'm looking good, you know, and what, that wasn't funny, but I thought I was looking good, fucks, okay? That's cool. But, so I'm, you know, looking fly, looking fabulous, and I'm pushing this food cart, and from where the door is to where you get the food at is a good, let's just say 20 feet. So I'm going down this long corridor, this long hallway, and I kind of feel it in my stomach, and I'm like, all right, you know, no problem. You know, I already got a game plan in mind. So I get to the place, I refill the food. All right, no problem. So I spin around, come back the other way, and I can start feeling on my stomach more and more, where I'm like, ugh, I don't know what's going on. Like, this is kind of chancy. So I remember taking a few steps, and then, like, immediately, if I would have snapped, that would have been better. But, like, immediately it happened. Like, I was like, all right, it's go time. Like, I got to make a plan quick. So I push the cart to the side, and I'm kind of looking, and I'm looking, and I'm like, all right, where is it at? Where's it at? And I'm trying to stay calm, and I'm trying to be not so panicked. And then, you know, it gets more and more urgent where I'm like, all right, like, I got to find a fucking place quick. So I'm running up and down this corridor. I'm trying to find this place. I'm trying to find the bathroom. And I can't find it. And I'm like, oh, God, maybe quitting being a Mormon wasn't worth it. Maybe, maybe I should have not drank coffee ever, and I could have went to that super duper heaven. But oh well. So out of the corner of my eye, it's almost like a mirage where I see it and it says locker room. So I'm like, all right, that place is bound to have a bathroom. So, at this point, I'm like running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I get to it. I lost wind on that almost, but that's how out of shape I am. But I got to it, and I take one final step in there, and then I violently shit myself. Yeah. So it is, everything just shoots and pours out of me. And I even think I did the, oh no, but no, maybe, who knows. But so I violently just, shit myself. And I just get custom-made suit. Yeah, you're right, Seth. So thanks for following the story, buddy. But I'm like, well, now the only thing left to do, Jeremy and Megan, is do the waddle. So I have to kind of do the waddle of shame, and I can kind of feel it like a pendulum just swaying in the back of my pants like this, and it gets worse. So I get to the stall, and I'm like, fuck, man, like this is it. Like I fucked up my chance, and I ruined this really good job I had, and God's just pointed at me, and Joseph Smith is pretty mad too. Which I'm not that concerned with him, honestly. But so I get to the stall, and and I pull off my pants, and the good news is everything was collected in the back of my underwear, so there's no mess to clean up. But I step out of it. One lady said, "You, yeah, I agree, you." So I step out of it, and I'm like, "Well, what to do now?" Because I'm not going to take it home with me. It's not a to-go bag. So I'm like, well, sorry, Mom. But, I just threw it in the trash can. And I just glided out of there, cleaned myself up, left, didn't tell a soul until tonight. And, and I thought everything was cool. I thought everything was great. And so I get back to work, and I do the whole bit. A few days goes by, and I think to myself, all right, that's it. I got away, this is the getaway scheme, and all those, I was like a bandit robbing that train where I got away with all the loot, and the coppers didn't catch me. And but I was wrong. I got an there was a mass email that went out that said, hey, to the person that made the mess in the men's bathroom at this place, please, just come on, please let us know, tell us something. And I thought to myself, that's not me. They're not talking about me, right? And so a few days goes by, and I'm like, all right, I just got to lay low, be cool. Everything's going to blow over, And I get a direct email from, let's just say his name's Ken, because I can't remember his name. And last time I used his real name, you kind of got mad. So let's just say his name's Ken. And let's just say his name's Seth Hawkins. So Seth Hawkins shoots me an email, and he's like, hey, man, look, we know it's you. Just come in, we'll talk about it. We'll hash things over. We'll break bread. You can go on about your way. Everything will be Gucci. And I was like, that's some weird language to be using, Seth, but all right. So, I pull up, I get there, and I'm all confident and shit. And I'm like, all right, Seth, what do you want to talk about? And he was like, hey, man, that was really uncool that you did. And my buddy, Seth's friend, had to clean it up. And he was really sad about that. And I was like, hey, Seth's friend, that was really shitty of me. I'm really sorry. And he was like, well, it's all right. I accept your apology. And I was like, okay. And then, so I said, hey, Seth Hawkins, I'm really sorry about all that, stuff like that, And he was like, yeah, it's all good. I just can't believe it. Like, it was weird because he accepted my apology, and then he was like, I just can't believe it. It's just unfathomable. And he like threw down this manila folder, which I really like the fact that he took time to document all this in a manila folder for this instance. And but he was like, hey buddy, like, we have you on camera, we know it's you, just apologize. Which I really hope that they caught the oh no moment, because that'd be baller. That'd be the night. And so in conclusion, few other days go by. I get called into the main HR office, and they're like, hey man, we gotta let you go. They said, we believe in integrity around here, and obviously you don't. So get fucked. But thanks, guys. I've been Jesse WhiteDeer. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much.